So guys, in the previous session we have discussed about date functions and text functions, numeric functions, and then logical functions. We have come across these specific functions here. Now today, I hope everyone understood how we can write the expressions in the calculation stage properties window. This is the properties window of the calculation stage. So here we will be able to write the expressions. So hope you understood what is the purpose of validate. Validate will validate the syntax of the expression which is written here, and evaluate expression will execute this particular expression what we have written here, and it will give us some result. So we can evaluate if the syntax what we have, the expression what we have written here is going to give us the expected result or not. So that is the purpose of validate and evaluate. And to the right side we have data items pane. So this is the whole calculation stage properties window, and we have store result in also here. Okay, so now similarly, how we have this calculation stage, similarly there is another stage called as multi-calculation stage. So basically in this calculation stage, if we take a look at this in calculation stage, this calculation stage, I will be able to write only one expression here. I can write only one expression here. If you take a look at this, how many expressions I have written here? One expression. So similarly, will I be, so let's say for example, can I go ahead and concatenate two data items in the same calculation stage? So something like this. So let's say for example, here I want to concatenate text also. This is something like concatenate demo class. This is demo class. Okay, so can I go ahead and place two expressions like this? See, this expression is completely different. This expression is completely different. What we are doing here, we are trying to we are trying to round up a value, and I want to store the result of this value in a separate data item. And this is again another expression where I want to combine two strings and store it in a separate data item. My requirement here is to store the results of two expressions in two separate data items. We have two expressions here. Will I be able to do that? I won't be able to do it, because here in the calculation stage I can execute only one expression and I can store only one resultant in one of the data item. I can pass only one data item here. I can't pass multiple data items and store multiple expressions result in a single multiple data items. So let's say for example, this is my expression 1. Okay, this is my expression 2. So when I execute expression 1, I want to store the result of expression 1 in data item 1. Data item 1. Okay, so I have expression 2 also. I want to store the result of expression 2 in data item 2. Okay, can I do this using calculation stage? Can I use calculation stage here? Can I use calculation stage here? No, we can't use calculation stage for this. Okay, because this is one expression, and the resultant that I'm going to get from this expression, I want it to be available in a separate data item, and here also I want it to be available in a separate data item. Okay, now here how many data items I can use to store the result? Only one data item, right? Yes or no? I can store the result in one data item here. Okay, can I pass multiple data items here? See, this is one data item, and if I create one more data item here, let me take one more data item and name it as combined text. Set text data type. Now this round value, whatever the round I am doing here, I am planning to store it in a C data item name C. Same way, can I store the resultant that I am going to get from this expression in combined text? See, if I drag and drop this one here, observe what is going to happen. Did you observe it? It has overwritten. Yes or no? At a time, you can pass only one data item. See, at a time, you can use only one data item over there if you want to store the result. But our requirement is to execute both the expressions and store the result in different data items. Okay, so we can't achieve that using calculation stage. So how will I be able to do that? But I am supposed to do it. How will I be able to do that? That is the place where we are going to bring multi-calculation stage. In multi-calculation stage, if you want to perform some sequence of expressions and store the result of the expressions in different data items, in that scenario, we can use multi-calculation stage. So once I open the multi-calculation stage, let me go to the properties window. This is the properties window of the multi-calculation stage. Multiple calculation properties. So here we can have multiple calculation stages. So observe it once again. This is our calculation stage. What are all the properties we have in the calculation stage? Expression editor. This is our expression window. Data items pane. And then validate button, evaluate expression button, functions, and then we have store result in and function detail. These are all the properties. Can I find same properties in multi-calculation stage also? Yes, I will be able to find same properties in multi-calculation stage, but observe the difference here. Coming to the expression, this is our expression editor. This calculator icon is there right here. This is kind of calculator icon. You can see that when I click on this, you can see the same window that you see for calculation stage, except store result in. Store result has been, store result is available in here, so that I will be able to write multiple expressions at the same time. So here I'll go here and here I'll write one expression. So let me take these two expressions here and put it here and go to the calculation stage. Instead of using single calculation stage here, what I'm going to do, I'm going for multi calculation stage. I will write my first expression in expression, first row of the expression, first step, second expression, copy that and paste it in the add new row. We can add a new row here. We can add a new row. We can pass the next expression here. When you click on this calculation stage, calculator icon, you can see the same as this will be same as our calculation stage properties. Nothing is different. This will be your expression editor. Okay. So in this, now where are we going to store this result? I want to store it in data item C. So I will simply pass my data item C here, and the result of this expression I am planning to store it in combined text, another data item. So now I am able to execute two different expressions, and I will be able to store the resultant of these two expressions in two different data items. Understood? So what is the expression? Where are we storing? Those are the two columns we have here. So first thing is we need to define the expression in the expression column. Store resultant is the place where we are planning to store the resultant of the expression. Understood? Now click OK. Now let me delete these extra data items here. Okay, you should not get confused. That's the reason. Now let me drag this multi-calculation stage. Hey, wait, just a second. Let me put it aside. We can delete the links here. How can we delete the links? Click the link, delete. You can click on delete button, click it and delete the, you can use delete key on your keypad. It will be able to delete the link. Now bring in here. Okay. Now open this multi-calculation stage. Okay. Execute multiple expressions. And remember guys, one more thing. So by mistake you are supposed to execute this after this one. In that case, you can move down Hey, sorry, there is some network issue, I guess. I I mean, yeah. There was some network issue. Don't mind. Am I audible now? Are you guys able to hear me now? Hello. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So this is our expression, first expression, and this is our second expression. Okay. Now we can go ahead and execute these two expressions and store the. Hello. Hey. Yeah. I think connection is restored. Are you able to hear now? Yeah, I just changed this Wi-Fi connectivity. Hope you guys are able to hear me now. Thank you. I'm sorry for that. There is some disturbance here, network issue, so I keep changing these Wi-Fi and all. Please don't mind. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, let us come back where we have stopped. Okay. So here is the one, and here is the multiple expression window here. I mean, this is the multi calculation stage. Here we can go ahead and write how many expressions ever we want. And let's say, for example, if you're planning to execute the expressions in a proper sequence, right, you can move the expressions up and down here. You can use these buttons so that you can move the expressions up and down. Got my point, right? So this is how you will be able to execute multiple expressions at the same time and store the resultant of these multiple expressions in different data items instead of storing it in a single data item. Whereas in calculation stage, we'll be getting, we will be able to execute only one expression and only we can save one resultant in one data item. But whereas in multi calculation stage, you can write multiple expressions. Okay, that is the purpose of multi calculation stage. Okay. So now let us execute this and see if we are able to execute both the expressions and store the result. And remember, first it executes the first one and then it executes the second one. Okay, but you won't be able to control the flow here. I mean to say, like, if you want to execute the first one and stop it, you won't be able to stop it because it is a single stage. It is a single stage. It executes all the. So let's say, for example, you have some more expressions you have written here. Total, you have some 5 or 6 expressions. It executes all the 5 or 6 expressions and it will give the result. Okay, if there is any error in any one expression, it will fail. Okay, I'll explain that thing once again. Before that, let us see this. I'm going to execute this. Now you can see it is going to execute. It has executed this one and it stored the resultant in data item C, and it executed this expression and it stored the resultant in combined text data item. Okay, now you can see the result here. For the first one, this is the result, and for the second one, this is the result. Likewise, we can go ahead and write multiple expressions. And let's say, for example, assume that I have done some syntactical error here. So what is going to happen? Is it going to fail both the things, or it is going to execute first one and it is going to fail at the second one? So let me see. Let us see. I'm going to execute this once again. So you can just see the flow. Observe this carefully. You are able to see the resultant in C, but whereas the next step has been failed, and that is the reason it has thrown the error. Okay, you got the resultant for the first one. So all the expressions that you are going to write in here in a sequence, if any of the expression is going to fail, you will be able to find the resultant for the previous ones. But the first expression, if is going to fail, then it will stop. It won't execute the remaining things also here, remaining steps. Okay. So that is the purpose of multi-calculation stage. So if you want to store different results in different data items, what we can do here is we can go ahead and utilize our multi-calculation stage and write different expressions and store them in different data items. Clear? So now let us do a small exercise here. A small exercise. What I'm trying to do here is, just let me remove this. Okay, before doing that exercise, let me finish couple of more stages. Otherwise, you won't be able to understand that. Okay, so let me finish that one also. Yeah, so we have completed data item, and then we have completed calculation stage and all the functions in it. Now we have seen multi-calculation stage, and now let me talk about collection. And I explained you already that a collection is also one of the data type. So what is a collection? Collection is nothing but group of data of different data types. Group of data with different data types. That is called as collections. You have already seen different collections in your in your programming languages. Have you discussed collection already? Yes or no? Can someone remind me? If I'm not sure, I think we haven't discussed about collection, right? Yeah, thank you. So collection is the place where we can store the group of data. So in data items, we can store only single value. We can store single value in data items, okay? And in collection, I will be able to store group of data here in collection. So first thing is, let us define the field. Once you come to the properties window of the collection, you will be having three tabs over here. And first one is fields, next one is initial values, and next one is current values. And we all know that current values will be enabled only when we run the process. When the process I mean, during runtime only we can see this current values window in enable state. Before that, we can see only initial values window. Clear? So here in the fields, this is the place where we are supposed to define the fields. Fields are nothing but our column names. In a table, we will be having columns and rows, right? So here we are going to define the columns. Nothing but here we term it as fields. Okay. So let's say for example here, employee ID, employee name, employee salary, okay, and employee location, okay. So id will be in number data type. Here we can choose the data types. So this will be a bit different from normal data item. In data item you will define it normal way, like drag and drop the data item, rename the data item, and directly you define the data type here. So here we are going to have the combination of data types and data fields, okay. And name will be text data type, salary will be again number, location will be again text, right? Now coming back to the initial values, here we can go ahead and define some initial values. Here we can define n number of rows, okay. For time being, let us go ahead and define couple of rows here. Vishwa. Okay, okay, sorry, it's employee id, right? id 1004, salary 25,000, location let's say Chennai, and then we have, oh, Srija, it's in the name field, 1008, some employee number, salary, and then location, Hyderabad. So different locations, different places, different locations, okay. So we can have multiple people, all the employees will be having different locations, right? So likewise, and let's say Bangalore, okay. So Chennai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore, different cities, okay. Now this is our employee data. So what is this? The collection name here is employee data. The collection name here is employee data, okay. And the fields are employee ID, employee name, employee salary, and employee location, okay. Fields are different, name of the collection is different. So let's say for example, if I want to use this employee salary and add some value to that, so let's say for example, if we want to add 10,000 to all the employees as their bonus, okay. Now what I do, I will take a calculation stage here. I will take a calculation stage, open the calculation stage. How do we use the data from the collection? Like here you can see employee data dot employee ID. So the syntax here is collection name dot field name. That is how you will be able to get the value from the collection. Okay. So here, how do we represent the values from the collection? Collection name dot field name. So let's say I want to add 10,000 to salary. Employee salary plus 10,000 here. Okay. And you can validate the expression. But before that, let us store it somewhere. As this is the numeric expression, so once we create this data item, it will fall under number data type. It creates and it falls under number data type. Okay, so this is the one. All right, let me open this calculation stage. Add bonus to salary. We define proper names also to each and every stage. Okay, so don't try to write this name in expression in name place. Okay, I have seen some people doing this. Okay, someone write in my previous training, while I was training someone, what they have done, they have written the expression here and they have written the name in the expression field here. They have did something like this. Okay, don't do that way. Okay, so I mean, by mistake some people might be doing it, but remember, name is the field where you write the name of the stage, what the stage is doing exactly. What are we doing here in this stage? That is what we are going to provide the name. Okay, and we give a proper name for each and every stage, and then this is what we are going to execute here. And where are we going to store the result? I'm going to store the result in this. So this is how we are going to call the values from the collection. Collection name dot field name. Okay, now you can see when I execute this, the left hand value is empty. Fail to evaluate the operation when the left hand value is empty. Hold on, why are we getting this empty? Oh, I have already defined the fields, right? I have defined the fields. Why I'm not able to see the values? What happened to our values? Okay, let us define it once again. Ashu, employee salary, location, Bangalore, and then Chennai. Okay, now click OK. Let us reset the flow and see if we have defined the data properly. Let's once again verify it. Initial values are defined. Perfect. Did I cancel it in previous scenario? Did I cancel it without saving it? Anyways, that's fine. Let us run this now. Now you can see we are able to add 10,000 to the salary here. So when I go to this calculation stage, when I evaluate the expression, okay, since it is a collection, right, we won't be able to get the evaluate expression. So the value which is present in the first row, the value which is present in the first row of the salary, this value will come here, and that will be added to this 10,000, and that is the place where we are able to see 35,000. Okay, so this is how we represent the data from the collection. So collection is the place where we can define group of data, okay, with different data types. Okay, now observe carefully, it has executed only one record. What about the remaining records? I want to give bonus for everyone, right? Whoever is present in this list of data under employee data collection, everyone needs to have the salary hike as per the bonus policy. Okay, now if I want to work on all the records inside the collection, what are we supposed to do? You know, we can iterate the records, right? You will be using you might have used already this for loop, for each loop, etc. Okay, same way here also we'll be having a stage called as loop. So here you no need to write any syntax, something related to program. Okay, so basically you will be writing some expression like for of for each, you say close braces, and then you start writing I equal to 1, I plus plus, you keep iterating by using this I as the counter, hmm, something like that to go ahead and proceed with all the records, right? So we don't do all those things here. If you want to iterate on collection, we simply use this collection, I mean loop stage. Open the loop stage. Here is the place where you can define the collection on which you are planning to iterate. Okay, so let's say if I have in a page, I can have multiple collections here. Okay, but we need to choose the right collection on which we are planning to iterate. So employee data will be our collection. I'm going to choose employee data here and click OK. So now, so whatever the expressions, whatever the stages that you are planning to execute on all these records, those things needs to be between loop start and loop end. So here my calculation stage, this one is supposed to be in between loop start and loop end, so that it will be executed for all the records present in the collection. Link all the stages, reset, and you can see here when I start the flow, okay, some properties window is open. Let me close this, reset. So if you keep any of the properties window open, and if that is behind and you try to run the stage, you will be getting this error. Debugging is not available while properties dialogs are open. Please close all open property dialogs and try again. Okay, so that whenever you come across that error, right, just try to see if you have any properties window open. Okay, any of the stage properties window is open, just close them and rerun it. Okay, now I'm going to run the flow. After carefully, first it is going to start the loop here. It is currently working on first row of 3 records. Now it has picked up second row and third row, and then it came to loop end. So it executed all 3 records now, right? That is how this loop and collection is going to work. Okay, so once you define the data in a collection, if you want to process those records which are present inside the collection, how are we going to do that? We are supposed to use this loop stage so that it will iterate on all the records which are present inside the collection. Okay, so now let us go through this loop stage step by step. Okay, let us execute each and every record step by step. Okay, now let me reset this. I'm going to do this step by step. So if you want to debug the flow, set any of the stage from where you are planning to start as your next stage. Right click, you can set it as your next stage. Okay, and then we have step, step over, and step out. Okay, now I am going to talk about step over. Okay, step out is nothing but it will execute the whole flow and will reach the end. Audio gone. Guys, once again you are not able to hear me. Am I not audible to you? Funny, could you please check from your end if you are able to hear, and please try to re-log in, Funny, because from my end my network is also clear now. So Funny, requesting you to please try to re-log in or try to check your network. Okay, or you can try re-log in or try to log in from a different device or try to use earphones. So try all the possibilities. Okay, yeah, let me come back here. So here now I'm going to do step out. See what is I mean, sorry, step over. This is your step over. Okay, remember the symbol here, step over. I'm going to do step by step. First one, we are going to start the loop on this collection, when you start the loop, it picks the first record from the collection. It picks the first record from the collection. Now it is going to execute this. Okay. Now, when I execute this calculation stage, the value which is present inside this first row, employee salary 25,000, will be coming to the calculation stage. On collections, we can't do that. Okay. Yeah. Here, the value will be flowing here, and to that 25,000, we are going to add this 10,000, and the resultant will be stored here. Okay. Now, similarly, now when you execute this loop end, what this loop end is going to do is, this loop end will pick the second record here. Again, it will not go to loop start. It will pick the second record automatically. It checks if there are any records or not. If there are any records available, then if it is available, it will automatically pick the second record. See, it has picked up the second record. Now we are executing, we are going to execute row 2 of 3. Okay. Now let us open this. Now let me evaluate this expression. Still, you can't evaluate from the collection. Okay, don't worry about that. You can just observe it. Now when I execute, you can see once again we'll get the same value because we have mentioned 25,000 for both the employees. So for both of them, when we add 10,000, it will be the result same result for both of them. And now you can see when I execute loop and once again, now it has picked up the third record. Now in the third record, the value, the salary value is different. How much that is? 35,000. And now we are going to add 10,000 to the 35,000 and we are going to store it here. See, we got the resultant as 45,000. And now we are going to end the loop. That's all. So now did you understand why we go for RPA? So let's say the same thing if you want to do, do it in a program. How many lines of program you are supposed to write? I'm not exactly sure, because basically first of all you need to define the collection. Inside the collection you need to have these values based on the index. Again you need to iterate. If you are using array or any other list based on the index only, you need to iterate. Okay. And again you need to increment them. You need to check if the index is a 0 or empty or not, if there is any other values present in the collection or not, right? But here everything will be taken care by this loop stage alone. So you just need to define the collection, define the loop stage, which collection on we are supposed to iterate on in the loop stage, and then you start executing it. It keeps executing it. Okay. Now here, if you have observed, every time whenever I'm executing the rows, the value is getting updated here. Did you notice that? How many of you have noticed that? If any one of you have noticed it, please ping in the group. In this chat. So just observe it here. I'm running it once again. I started the loop. Delete these things. I started the loop. This is the collection. Let me make it bold, a bit bigger, so it will be easy for you to take a look at it. Okay. This is the bonus amount. Observe it carefully. I am executing first record. For first record, the value is 35,000. Now it is going to pick the second record. Hold on. Let make the difference here. Same value all the time. 15. Let us make it 15. Okay. Now let me execute once again. Set it as next stage. Loop start. First record. Executed first record. We got 35,000. 35,000 is available in the current value, right, of the data item. Once again, I'm going to execute second record for the same stage. Now, when I executed when I added bonus salary for the second record, the value is 25,000, and you can see we have lost the previous value. Where is our 35,000? For the first employee, where is the value? Okay, so we have lost it, and second one has been overwritten. Now, when I execute the third one, we have lost 1 and 2, and we got the final result for third record. So 45,000. Now you understood why we are not supposed to use single data item when we are working on collections. okay, group of data, or whenever we want to store different values in different data items, we can't use a single data item all the time because it will be overwritten. Whenever you use it, it will overwrite. Okay, so what I can do now, I'll simply come here to the collection. I will add one more field. Okay, salary plus bonus. Okay, now this will be number data type. Give the proper name, salary bonus. Okay, number data type. Now I'm not defining any values here. I will store the resultant of this calculation stage in this salary bonus. Okay, now what I do, currently where are we storing the data? We are storing the resultant in bonus amount. Now I'm not going to store it in bonus amount. I have removed bonus amount from there. Go to number data types. We have employee data dot collection name dot field name salary bonus. I am planning to store the resultant here. Okay, now click OK. Let us start this flow once again. Set as next stage, execute, loop started, picks up the first record, and it is going to add the salary bonus amount to the salary, and it has been stored in the salary bonus column. Now let us check if it is available or not. Where am I supposed to check, in initial values or current values? We are supposed to check it in the current values. Okay, go to current values, and here you will be able to see the resultant. Will the same value will be available in initial value also? No, it won't be available. Okay, it will be available only in the current values during runtime. The calculation has been executed during the runtime of the process, so all the values which are coming as an output during the runtime will be seen only in current values, not in the initial values. It is same for data items and collections. Okay, even in data items also, during runtime, if you want to see the updated value, you can see them in the current values. Okay, now I execute second record. Now second record also will be executed, and again it will store in the second row. Automatically it will store in the second row. Since this is your current row, this will be your current row. What is your current row? Row 2. We are currently working on row 2 of E. So when it is executing, it picks the value from the second row, it adds 10,000 to that second row value salary. Okay, and it will store in the second row itself. In the second row, in salary bonus column, it is going to store. Okay, second row, salary bonus column, because second row is our current row. That is how this loop is going to work. Okay, now similarly we have one last record here. Let us execute that one also. Now we are currently working on row 3 of 3, third record. Now when I execute, what is our current row? Our current row will be 3. And what is the column where are we planning to store the result? We are planning to store the result in salary bonus. This is our third row. In third row we are storing salary bonus. Okay, so this is how we will be able to iterate through the collections, and this is how we will be able to store the values also in the collections. Is that clear now? Okay, that is how we are going to use collections and then loop stage. Okay, and the calculation stage we have seen, so we understood this one, right? Now I'm going to create a new process here. Are you guys facing some network issues? Some people are leaving the session. I mean, some people are leaving the session, that's the reason. Okay. decision stage demo. Okay, next open that. So here, now let me talk about decision stage, okay, and choice stage. So if you want to take any, if you want to write any if condition, if A is greater than B, I want to perform addition. If A is less than B, I want to perform subtraction. Okay, so something like that. If you want to perform some, you want to take some decision, and based on the resultant of the decision, you want to perform some action. In that case, you can use this decision stage. And how to write the expressions and all, we will see now. Okay, so first of all, let us take two numbers here. Number A is sample examples, guys. Don't worry, we are going to do a lot of exercises on all these stages, okay? But for basic understanding, I'm using this regular kind of examples, like simple examples like A, B, C, some regular data item kind of thing. A, and let us make it as 25 initial value, and we have B is our second number, and initial value is going to be 35. Okay, now let me take one more data item and name it as C. Name of the data item is C, and its data type is number. Okay, now our requirement here is, so if A is greater than B, okay, then perform addition. If not, perform subtraction. Subtract B, A from B. Okay, we are supposed to subtract A from B. If it is lesser, okay, then what I do, I'll come to decision stage. So what I will do here, I'll simply take one decision stage. Since I have a condition to satisfy, I am going to take a decision stage. In the decision stage, similarly, how we have the calculation stage, we will be having all the properties here. So same properties that we have in calculation stage, we will be having in the decision stage also. But only one thing is different from calculation stage. We can't store the result here. Okay. Decision, basically, if condition will result you in true or false, yes or no. Okay. Basically, this if condition or any decision that we are going to take will give us the result in flag data type, that is true or false. If it is true, automatically it will go to yes path. If it is false, it will go to no path. Okay, so now I am going to define this. A is greater than B or not. Okay, check if A is greater than B. So what are we going to do in this stage? We are going to check if A is greater than B. That is why I have given the proper name here. So here is the decision which we are going to make. If A is greater than B, if it is true, I am supposed to add these two numbers. So I will take calculation stage. I am supposed to add them, right? My requirement is addition. Addition is nothing but numeric operation. To perform numeric operation, we go for calculation stage. Okay. So what I do here, I will come here, A plus B, and store the resultant in C. Okay. Here I'm going to add these two numbers. Now similarly, let me take one more calculation stage. Let us copy and paste the same thing, and I will change it. Here I'm going to subtract, and I want to subtract lower number from higher number. So that is the reason I'm trying to make this decision. A minus, B minus A. B is higher, right? Okay. So that is the reason we plan to do this and store the resultant in C again. Okay. Here I am going to plan subtract. Now, if my condition is true, see, remember, decision stage will give you two links as output. One is yes path, Other one is no path. If your decision is true, what are you supposed to do? If your decision is false, what are you supposed to do? If it is true, it will take yes path. If it is false, it will take no path. Clear? And after finishing the task which we are planning to do, we simply end the flow. Link both the calculation stages to end stage. Okay. Now let us execute this and see what is going to happen. Let me set this as next stage. And we know that B is greater. Obviously, it is going to fail. The condition is going to fail. Then it will automatically go to no path, and it will execute this, and it will store the result. Simple. This is how the decision stage is going to work. Okay. So, and now you can change this number and see, just for your reference. Now if it is greater, automatically it will navigate to the S path. It is now going to take S path, and it is going to execute. It is going to perform addition, and this will be the result. This is how you can use the decision stage. To take a decision based on the output, you have to define the flow. So if it is true, you are supposed to do something. If it is false, you are supposed to do something. Okay. Now the same thing, will I be able to do it using choice stage? Yes, I will be able to do it using choice stage. How? But in choice stage, right, we can write multiple conditions, not a single condition like how we have here, A greater than B. In choice stage, we can write multiple conditions here. So open the choice stage. Similarly, how we have calculation and multi-calculation, same way decision and choice also. So choice is nothing but it keeps switching between the statements. Okay, switch statement kind of thing. Okay, if else, if else, if else. Okay, if this is satisfied, go ahead and execute this particular stage. Else, check this condition. If it is satisfying, then go ahead and execute this. Okay, so that is how this specific choice stage is going to work. Now let me design the flow for choice stage also. So what I do here, it will only check one choice. Here we provide the choice name. See guys, don't get confused here again. So this is the name, this is the name. How we are defining a name for this decision stage, similarly we are going to define the name here. It is a name. Okay, it is a name, because here we can have group of decisions. We can take group of decisions at the same time using choice stage. Okay, so first one is check if A is greater. Next I'm going to write check if B is greater. Okay, and now in the choice criteria, if A is greater, I am going to write the condition here, A is greater than B or not. Okay, it will try to check if A is greater or not here. And now here again I will be able to write something like this, B is greater than A, something like this. Okay, just for your understanding, we can write multiple decisions in a single choice stage. Okay, Now if you can see here, we have two conditions. If the first condition is satisfied, it will take the first path. Second condition is satisfied, it will take the second path. Now if A is greater, I want to add. If B is greater, I want to subtract. Okay, simple. I'm going to link first condition to the first one, second condition to the second one. So if else kind of thing. If this is condition is satisfied, then go ahead and perform the code which I'm going to write in the if statement. Else if you try to check the next condition, if that is satisfied, then go ahead and execute the stage linked to it. Else if try to check if this condition is satisfied or not. If it is satisfied, only then you go ahead and execute it. Clear? Now let me link this end stage here. So as I told you earlier, we can have multiple end stages in a page, but start stage will be only one. You are supposed to start from there only. Okay, set next stage, execute it. Now it will automatically go to the, so as A is greater, it satisfies the first condition, it will simply execute that. Okay, that's all. And similarly, let's say if B is greater, in this scenario, what will happen? In this scenario, it will first try to check the first condition, if A is greater than or not, A is greater than B or not. If A is not greater than B, it will automatically go to the next one and it go ahead and execute the stage linked to the next one. What are the conditions satisfies? It will simply go to that particular path and it executes the stage linked to that path. That is how choice stage is going to work. Kind of switch statement here. Okay. So far, anyone have any queries related to multi-calculation stage, choice and decision, and collection and loop? Any queries, it can be even a silly query also, that's fine, no problem, but you need to get clarified everything now. Okay, that is the reason. If you have not understood, please let me know. I will repeat it once again. By taking a different example. I will try to repeat it once again. If you have understood, that is well and good. If you haven't understood anything, please let me know. I will repeat it once again. Okay. Okay, here is the first question from Alagesh. So maybe net issues. Okay, so that's fine. Yeah. Yes, sir. What is the function of otherwise? Function. Hey, otherwise is not a function basically. In choice stage, if nothing is satisfied, it will come to otherwise. So sometimes we write some conditions, right? If conditions. If none of the if condition is satisfied, what are we supposed to do then? Go to otherwise and say no condition is satisfied. Okay, something like that. You can define a message here. See. So let me take a calculation stage. Otherwise, okay. No condition is satisfied. That will be our output. So when it will go to otherwise, when both the numbers are true, I mean both the numbers are equal, not true. Both the numbers are equal. Both the conditions are true. When both the conditions are true. So let's say if I make both of them as 65, 65. So what will happen in this scenario? When I run the flow, you can observe carefully. It will simply go to otherwise. It will execute this one and it will give you the output. No condition is satisfied because none is greater. Nothing is greater, right? That is the reason it will simply go to otherwise. And from otherwise, when it goes to otherwise, what are you planning to do? That is what you are supposed to define here for otherwise. So this is your first condition. If first condition satisfies, we know what to do. We need to add two numbers. If second condition is satisfied, I want to subtract. So if nothing is satisfied, there will be some scenarios where nothing will be satisfied. See, This is the scenario where nothing will be satisfied, right? Both the conditions will fail. Now in this scenario, what am I supposed to do? That is the place where we are going to use this otherwise and define some calculation stage, define some message, no condition is satisfied, or the two numbers might be equal, something like that. Define a proper message and store the message here. Understood? Did I answer your question, Alagesh? Any other questions? Anyone have any other questions? Okay. You guys can take a 10 minutes break now. I mean, it's been 1 hour, right? Let us take a 10 minutes break and then we'll come back. Okay. So what is the time now? Is it 11:30? Yeah, 11:31. You can take break for 10 minutes and please be back in 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, is everyone back? Okay, hope everyone are back. So guys, now let us do a small exercise on this decision stage, like how to use this decision stage. We will do a small exercise here. So we'll try to figure out greater of three numbers here. Okay. Uh, so first of all, so let us take three data items and one for the result. So I want you guys to identify which is the greater number here. A small exercise here, just to be familiar with how to use these decision stages. Number one, number two, and then we have number three. We have three data items of number data types. Three data items of number data types, and let us define some random initial values: 250, 240, 350. Okay, we have three numbers, and we need to identify which is greater, and the output should be in this data item. Let me define it as output. Output, and the output we should see something like this. So and so number is greater, and this is the value for that. Okay, so let me tell you how to write that. So $350, so let's say for example $350 is greater, right? $350 is greater of all three numbers. Okay, I want to see the result something like this. Okay, and that should be stored in this data item, output data item, text data type. Okay, the result should be something like this. Clear? Okay, so now let us start comparing these three numbers. Let us design the solution to compare these three numbers and get the result, expected result like this. Okay, so what will be our result? The result should be something like this. Let me put it in the notepad file. Okay, come back here. So first thing, what are we supposed to do? So first tell me, how are you going to compare three numbers? Can someone tell me which number is greater out of these three? I mean, how to design the solution basically. What are all the conditions we are supposed to write? How many decision stages require here? So first thing is we'll compare number one and number two, right? Number one is greater than number two or not. First, we are going to compare number one and number two, right? So if we are satisfied with number one and number two, if number one is greater, okay, what are we supposed to do then? If number one is greater, I am comparing number one and number two, and I got the result like number one is greater. So what are we supposed to do then? I need to then immediately compare number 1 with number 3. Yes or no? Right? So if number 1 is greater than number 2 is true, then perform below comparison. Okay, right? If this is true, perform below comparison. Okay, now if this is false, what are we supposed to do? So let us name this as step 1 and let us name this as step 2. Okay, so if step 1 is true, then perform below comparison. If step 1 is false, this will give two outputs, right? One is true or false, either true or false. This gives the result. Let's say, for example, if it is true, then I'm going to compare number 1 with number 3, right? And if step 1 is false, what are we supposed to do then? Then perform below step, which is step 3, or just name it as perform step 3. If S1 is false, then perform step 3. So what is step 3? Step 3, I'm going to check if number 2 is greater than number 3 or not. Okay. Now, if step 1 is true, let us go to the happy path first. If this is true, I am then going to compare number 1 with number 3. So number 1 is now compared with both the numbers. Yes or no? Number 1 and number 3. Sorry, number 2 and number 3. So we have finished comparing number 1 with both the numbers, number 2 and number 3. So when I say number 1 is greater in this step, which means automatically number 2 is lesser, right? Similarly, when after performing this, immediately when I go ahead and perform this step 2, number 1 is greater than number 3 or not. In this scenario, what can I conclude? If this is true, I can say number 1 is greater than both the numbers, number 2 and 3. Similarly, if this is false, I can automatically say that number 3 is greater, because I have already taken a decision here by checking number 1 is greater than number 2 or not. If number 1 is greater, automatically I can say, when this condition is false, automatically I can say that number 3 is greater of number 1 and number 2. Understood? Or did I confuse you? If this is true, then set number 1 as greater, else set number 3 as greater. Similarly, if this is true, then set number 2 as greater, else set number 3 as greater. Okay, a simple scenario. Step 1, first we perform step 1. Okay, now let us design that. We understood the requirement properly, so let us take the decision stage first. Number 1 is greater than number 2 or not, first thing. Okay, and then check number 1 and number 2. Okay, so if this is satisfied, if this is true, What are we supposed to do? If number 1 is greater than number 2, then perform below step. What is that? Step 2. Number 1 is greater than number 3 or not. So here I am going to compare if number 1 is greater than number 3 or not. Okay. If this is true, S path. If this is true, which means it will take S path, then I'm going to do this check. If this is false, I will take one more decision stage. We can copy paste the stages also. Every time you don't need to drag and drop a new stage, again rename the stage, etc. You can utilize the same stage, copy paste it, Control C, Control V, the shortcuts. Okay. So when this is false, here I'm going to check. What is it we're supposed to check here? If this is true, then set number 1 as hold on. Yeah. If S1 is false, then perform step S3. What is the step S3? Number 2 is greater than number 3 or not. So here I'm going to do write a check between number 2 and number 3. I'm going to say number 2 is greater than number 3 or not. Now, if this is true, what am I supposed to do? If this is true, I'm supposed to say if this is true, if number 1 is greater than number 3, if this is true, then set number 1 as greater. Set number 1 as greater. Okay. Now take a calculation stage. So just observe what I'm going to do here. So this is the output we are expecting, right? We are supposed to see the output like this. So copy this, paste the expression inside the double quotes. But remember, guys, the value will be different for 3 numbers, right? We can't hard code the value. So what can we do here? Instead of hard coding the value, I will define number 1 here, okay, and concatenate number 1 to the text. Understood? And we know it will be number 1 greater. So obviously when it will come to S path, only when number 1 is greater, it will come to this path, right? Only in that scenario, it will come to this path. Okay. Now similarly, copy paste it. Here also, if this is true, I can directly say that number 2 is greater. So what I do here, I'll simply change this as 2, and here also let me update it to 2. Okay. And then we have one more calculation stage, so that we define number 3 is greater when both the conditions are false. When both of them are false, number 3 will be greater. Okay. Now take the end stage, link all of them to the end stage. Are we good so far? Right. Now let us execute the flow and see how it will be done. Now let me set it as start stage. Let me explain it step by step. So first, what I'm trying to check here, I'm trying to check between number 1 and number 2. So number 1 value is 250, number 2 value is 240. Now which path it is going to take? S path or no path? It is now going to take no path, because we know that, oh sorry, it is going to take S path, right? Because number 1 is greater, it will take S path here. Now observe that it is now going to S path. Now here we are going to check number 1 and number 2. So now what is the condition I have written? Is number 1 greater than number 3 or not? Is number 1 greater than number 3? No. Obviously, which path it is going to take? It is going to take no path. Takes no path. It executes the expression inside this. Now when the expression is executed, oh, store result, I did not define the store result in, okay, output. We pass the resultant in the output. I thought I have defined it. So when you validate, you will get this error, okay? Whenever you don't define, right, you will get this error. Stage to store resultant does not exist. Make sure you are storing the resultant somewhere, okay? Any data item. Clear? Now you can see 350 is greater of all three numbers, okay? Now you change the value. Now try to execute the flow. So 1 and 2, which is greater? 2 is greater. Obviously, will take no path. Now it is going to check between 2 and 3. So which is greater? Obviously 2 is greater. Automatically, we can say we no need to compare again between 1 and 3, because already we compared number 2 with 1, right? So when you compare number 2 and 3, if it is greater, obviously we can say 2 is greater. If it is lesser, obviously we can say 3 is greater, because already the comparison between 1 and 2 is completed. Now 2 has won the match. Now 2 is going to play with number 3. Understood? So 500 is greater of all three numbers. So how do we generate these expressions? In the calculation stage, you define the data item. If you want to get the value from the data items or collections, whatever you need, you pass the field here and then concatenate it. We are concatenating a number to a text. Yes, we can do that also. Okay. Any queries on this? Okay. Now same thing can we perform using choice stage instead of using decision stage. Can I use choice stage to identify which number is greater of three numbers? Can we do that? So let me do that. Let me demonstrate that for you, and then uh, we'll take the break for first half, and then we'll continue in the second half. In the second half, I'll give you an assignment, and I want you guys to run it, and I want you guys to what to say, like, build the flow. Okay. Let me create a new page here. So choice. In this choice page, now we have these three numbers here. Now instead of having the numbers in data items, let me say, let us take a collection here. Let us take a collection here. Define the fields here. First one is number 1, number 2, number 3, and greater number. Whichever the number is greater, we store it in the greater number column. Number data type, number data type, number data type, and this, let us make it as text, because we are going to write some sentence also after the number, right? So that is the reason I'm going to make it as text data type. Now let us name it as numeric data. Add the rows, some random numbers here, some 230, 240, 250, 65, 35, 45, 85, some random numbers, 70 and 60. Okay, and then we have 1000. Let us do something different. Okay, minus 25, minus 10, minus 45. Good. Why every time we have positive numbers only? Let us go ahead and play with negative numbers also. Okay, so this is our data, and we are supposed to store the resultant in the greater number column. Same way how we have defined here, this is the same result we are supposed to see over there. Now, instead of using the decision stages, can we do it using choice stage? Yes, we can do it using choice stage. Let us take the choice stage here, drag and drop the choice stage here, open the choice stage, and here we are supposed to define three criterias. Criteria is the place where we are supposed to define the expression, and this is the place where we are supposed to write the name, what this criteria is doing. That is what you are supposed to define here. Now check number 1, and then three. Okay, number 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, see how we are going to write the expression here. Simple. Come to the expression builder, drag and drop numbers, numeric data dot number 1. So here the data is defined in collection. Okay, not in the data items. Here it is defined in data items, so I have directly used the data items. But whereas here we have defined the values inside the collection, so we have the data in the collection. So how do we write the expression? Collection name dot field name. Okay, numeric data dot number 1 is greater than number 2 or not. And now we are going to use a new function, that is AND function. See, what is this AND function? AND function, it is going to make sure if both the conditions are satisfied or not. You might have come across in your program also, right? And or you know already all these things, I guess, and it will be more easier for you to do this now. And we are going to write two expressions, and so that it should satisfy both the conditions. If any one of the condition is failed, then it will take no path. Okay, so number 1 greater than number 2 and number 1 greater than number 3. Okay, so validate the expression, check if the expression is valid or not. Yes, the expression given here is valid, and try to put it in the braces. Okay, so this will be one condition. Proper syntax. This is the next condition. Okay, now validate the expression. Expression is valid. Now similarly, I'll copy the same expression here. I'll simply change the number values here. Okay, here number 2 is greater than number 1 or not, and number 2 is greater than number 3 or not. Okay, in the third place, I'm going to define same expression. Number 1, number 3 is greater than number 2, and number 3 is greater than number 1 or not. Only when number 2 is compared with both the values same time, then we can finalize that number 3 is greater. That is why I have written an AND condition in between. Okay, trying to check with both the numbers at a time in a single shot. One, two, and three. Okay, So what I do, I simply let me copy these from here. I don't want to drag and drop all the time. It keeps irritating. Okay. So you can simply use the copy paste them here. Okay. And do I need to change anything in these calculation stages, or can I directly use them like that? Do I need to do any changes in the calculation stages that I have copied from that previous page? Can someone tell me, do I need to do any changes? What changes? Sam said yes. Data item names, excellent. Don't forget to change the data item names here. See, number one, where is our values? Our values are in numeric data dot collection name dot field name, numeric data dot number one. Okay, and here also it should be numeric data dot number two. And where are we supposed to store the result? The result also must be stored in the collection, right? Where? Number data dot greater number field. Okay, same in the third data item on third stage also. Delete this and pass numeric data dot number three, and instead of storing it in output, store it in numeric data dot greater. Okay, even in this first one. So output, store it here. Okay, so guys, just observe one thing. So this is a bit clumsy, right? You can't find properly from where this link is coming from. So what I do to design our flow properly, what we can do here is we can use this anchor. There is a stage called as anchor. You won't see any properties for that. It will just help you to design the flow properly. That's all. Now this looks good, right? See, even if you try to double click on that, I'm trying to double click on that. I won't be able to open that stage. I won't be able to do anything with that. Okay. You can just use it as a to design the link, to link it properly. Okay. That is the only purpose we are going to use this anchor stage. That is the purpose of anchor here. Understood? No, otherwise basically it doesn't go to otherwise condition. Okay, we will redefine that, no problem. Otherwise I'll just simply give it end stage, or I can also leave it like that. Instead of leaving it, just we can, for now let us leave it and then we'll see that. Okay, now we have this row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. Total we have 4 rows here. So is this correct, or do we need to do any changes here? Am I missing something, or shall I go ahead and execute this? Excellent. So we are missing the loop here. What is it we are missing? We are missing loop stage over here. Okay. Drag and drop a loop stage because we are working on a collection loop on numeric data. So I'm going to rename this loop on numeric data. And what is my collection? Numeric data. Okay, click OK. Now define this loop start. Where am I supposed to define the loop start? Here. Here will be my loop start. I'm supposed to start the loop immediately. Okay. Once the loop is started, it execute this, and then we come here and we link it to loop end. Okay. Loop end, and then all the three links, all the three stages should be going to loop end, and then end stage, and then we are going to end it over there. Okay. Now let us run this step by step. Set as next stage, execute it. Loop start, we are going to pick the first record. We are going to check if 1, 2, 3 numbers, number 1 with number 2 and number 3. First condition, If that is satisfied, it will execute this. If that is not satisfied, it will execute this. If that, I mean, if that is not satisfied, it will go to this condition. It will try to check this condition is satisfied or not. If it is satisfied, it will simply come here. Okay. It directly went to 3 because none of these 3 have been satisfied. Okay, none of these two conditions has been satisfied. So it directly came to third condition. Since the third condition is satisfied, it came to this stage. Okay. Now, when I execute this, yes, let us see the output here in the collection. In the current values, see, for the first record, 250 is greater of all 3 numbers, right? Now, similarly, when I execute this loop and it is going to pick the second record, go to the second record. Now it is going to compare the second record, and in second record, number 1 is greater, so it has executed number 1 is greater. Now, similarly, go ahead and so let us see this result before going there. See, 65 is greater here. Now let me click on continue. Let us execute the remaining flow here. Again, number 1 is greater, and then number 2 is greater. Okay. Current values. See the resultant here. So out of these 3, yes, we got the correct result for the first record. 250 is greater, of course. 65 is greater here. Yes, 85 is greater here, and minus 10 is greater here, right? We can compare negative numbers, we can compare decimal numbers, anything. If you want to compare anything, we can compare that. Okay. So let me know if you have any queries. So anyone wants me to explain it once again? Did you miss something? People might have gone to break, right? If you're not able to come back on time or you have missed something, please let me know. So far all good. Explain it once again. Okay, funny. Please help me. Which part you want me to explain? Let me know what exactly you want me to explain. I'll explain that. Okay. Or the whole thing, or you missed this one. Which one? Which one you want me to explain? Conditions. Which conditions? This one or the conditions which I have written inside the choice stage? Which conditions? In main page or in choice? Choice stage conditions. Okay. 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 So observe it carefully, guys. So how the choice stage works basically is a kind of if else condition. Choice stage is nothing but if else condition. So here I can't say number 1 is greater than number 2 and number 2 is greater than number 3. I can do that one also here. Okay, but I can't continue with the remaining steps. That is the reason I'm only taking one decision here. Based on this output, I'm going for yes or no path, because here I'm going to get yes no paths here for decision stage. So when we come to the choice stage, in a single shot, I'm supposed to write the whole condition, if condition. Okay. So what I do in the choice criteria, I'm trying to compare both number 2 and number 3 at a time with number 1. Number 1 is greater than number 2 and number 1 is greater than number 3, which means at a time I'm trying to identify if number 1 is greater than 2 and 3 or not. Okay. And when we use this AND operand here, AND operand, what do you mean by AND operand? AND means nothing but it should satisfy both the conditions. To the left hand side I have one condition, to the right hand side I have one condition. Only when these both conditions are satisfied, only then it will take this it will take this path and it will execute the stage connected to this specific condition. These are conditions, okay? These are conditions. So we have defined three conditions right here. 1, 2, 3. So this is your first one. Check number 1, check number 2, check number 3. This is your check 1 condition. If check 1 condition is satisfied, then it will execute this one. Similarly, what we have done here is, even for number 2 also we have done the same thing. Even number 2 I am directly comparing with number 1 and number 3. Only greater, only if it is greater, that's all. Only if it is greater. Even if it is less than, right, if one condition is going to fail, in both the conditions, if any of the condition is going to fail, it will simply go to the next condition and try to evaluate the next condition. So once the next condition is satisfied, it goes and executes the stage linked to that specific condition. These three are the conditions, and this is how we have written the conditions here. Number 1, comparing number 1 with both number 2 and number 3, comparing number 2 with both number 1 and number 3, comparing number 3 with both number 2 and number 1. Okay, in a single shot. Good. Anyone else have any other queries? Are we good so far? Excellent. Now here is the assignment for you. Just hold on a second. Let me open the assignment for you. Desktop, employee hike assignment. Open the assignment. Ravi. Okay, let me okay. That one possible. Continue. Yeah. Hey guys, you're able to see my screen, right? Guys, this is your assignment for today. So once we are done with today's assignment, from tomorrow we are going to start with Object Studio. Okay, so let me explain what is the assignment, and by today afternoon I want every one of you to share the solution with me. Okay, whoever have the systems, whoever have the system and whoever have Blueprism ready on your mission, right? I want everyone to complete this assignment and give it back to me. Clear? Okay, so first thing, you need to define a collection with the field names. These are the field names. Okay, and total, average and hike message will be empty. Okay, let me show you for your reference. What you need to do, you need to define a collection. You need to define a collection first. Take a collection, and those will be the field names. So our assignment mainly here is we are supposed to define the hike hike message for employees, employee hike definition. Okay, so employee ID, let me take employee ID, copy and paste it in the field. Employee name, paste it in the field. Q1 rating, copy and paste it in the field. Q2 rating, copy and paste it in the field here. Q3, copy and paste it here. Q4, copy and paste it in here. and then total. These are the fields which we are going to define. Average, and then we have height message. Okay, these are the fields that we are going to have. Okay, and data types. Okay, data types, you know, right? ID will be number, name will be text, ratings, quarter ratings will be generally how we have the ratings, right? Performance ratings, how we do is like, see, uh, in a financial year we'll be having 4 quarters. For each quarter we will do performance assessment. Okay, so after we do the assessment, we give the rating. So 1 will be the top rating, 2 will be the next, 3 will be the next, and 4 will be the last. Okay, 1 2 3 4. Okay, 4 means it's a kind of I mean very low performance, so they will be sent to performance improvement program, PIP. Okay, so they are supposed to meet HR in that scenario. So any person who is going to get the rating as 4, they are supposed to meet the HR. So how are you going to calculate it? Okay, so first of all we define some random quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 ratings for all the employees who we are going to define. Okay, number. So first of all we define the fields. So based on the financial year, now total and average and hike message we are supposed to define them. I mean we are supposed to calculate them and store them here, store them in the result. Our solution, whatever the solution that we are going to build, our solution should be capable of defining them. Okay, average and hike message is going to be text. Only 2 fields will be text, hike message and number. So now employee ID 1001, 1002, 1003. So employee name, okay, some random names. Let me pick up from this list itself. Ajit, Bala, and then we have Kiran. It's bringing something. Okay. So guys, this is random ratings. You don't need to worry about that. 2, 3. In first quarter he got 2, second quarter he got 3, third quarter he scored 1, and fourth quarter again he scored 2. Okay. Similarly, Bala, he scored 4 in all the scenarios. Guys, it's just a random thing. Okay, don't get offended. I don't even know how you guys perform. That's the reason. 1 and okay, same numbers, right? 3. Here again 3, and here let us say 2. Some random numbers. Okay. Now what you need to do, you need to calculate the total here, like quarter 1 plus quarter 2 plus quarter 3, quarter 4. You need to calculate the resultant of the addition of these 4 values to be stored here in total, and you need to take the average. How do you calculate the average? Total by 4 will give you the average. So once you get the average, okay, and if you see decimal points, you need to round it. Okay, you need to round it. You need to round the decimal places to one place. You should have only 1 digit. You might get decimal values also, but you need to round it. Remember, you need to round it. Okay, see, so calculate total and average and store them in respective fields in the collection once you define the collection. Now after calculating average, if you get any decimal number, it needs to be rounded to 0 places. Okay, example 1.56, round it to 0 places as 2. So if your what to say, like average 1.56, then it will be, your rating will be 2. Understood? Likewise you need to round it, so 2 should be the average value in the average column. Now define the message as below based on the average. Now you need to take a decision here. If rating is 1, then your message should be Ravi. I mean the name should come from the collection, like how we did for the value recently. with employee ID so and so, whatever the employee ID which we have in the collection, has got 1 as the rating for this financial year, and you are eligible for 20% hike. Okay. Similarly, else if his rating is 2, then he should be able to see 15% hike. Else if 3, he should be able to see 10% hike. So there should be 4 calculation stages. 1 calculation stage for 20%, 15%, and 10%, and finally meet HR. Okay. Now this is how you are supposed to execute it. Based on the average, you need to define the hike message. Once the hike message is defined on all the records, then that's all. Our assignment is completed. Clear? So we define this, and 1, 2, 3, or we can define 4 or 5 records, 6 records. It's up to you. You want to work on multiple records, it's up to you. Take multiple records or 3 records or 4 records. At least minimum try to work on 5 records. Okay, 5 records, and try to define the hike messages and show the result. Okay, hope you understood the assignment here. Any queries? Requirement on this requirement, do you have any queries? Yes, on step 3, can you share the notepad file in our group? Yes, obviously I'm going to share it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, I am going to share it in the WhatsApp group. Step 3, what is the doubt in this? It is a straightforward step. If you get the average value, so let's say for example, here in the collection, so just take a look at this. 2 plus 3, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 by 4 is 2. Now go to this one. This one, what will be the total here? 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 by 4. What is 9 by 4? What will be the resultant? So here our total will be 9. 9 here. And when we calculate the average, how we calculate the average? 9 divided by 4, right? So what will be the result here? Basically it will be 2.25, something like that. Okay, 2.25. I don't want to see any decimal values. You need to round it to 0 places. So if you get 2.25, I want to see the result as 2 here. I don't want to see 2.25, because my comparison, what I'm trying to do in the next step, in my next step, my comparison will be between 1, 2, 3, and 4 only. I'm not writing check if it is equal to 2.25 or not. Okay, if it is equal to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, that's all. But now if it is 2, the message in this should be like this. The message in this should be, so whoever is the person, it is Kiran, right? Kiran, don't use all this and all, just given the hint over there. Kiran with employee ID 1003 has got, what is the rating? Kiran's rating is 2 as the rating for the financial year, and you are eligible for 2. What is the percentage? 15. So your output should be something like this, 15%. Understood? So this is how you are supposed to see. Okay, this is how I want the result.